My name is Les Bisley. I'm the CIO for Aptean. Aptean is a ERP CRM software supply chain company. We write software for our customers that allow them to be able to do the shop floor work, manufacturing, what I would call the assembly line activities, things along that line. We also do a lot of what I would call enterprise complaint and issue resolution type software. The impetus, if you will, for looking for a product like Thru, and Thru did solve that problem for us, is that how can I transfer information easily? On the customer side, easy as well, because it could be very easy for me to send, but if it's problematic for the customer, it's still not a good solution. And then on top of that, how can I actually control who has access to that information? So fundamentally, for me, the big three issues that we were trying to solve was how to minimize the amount of storage that we're keeping on premise, how can I offload this information to a service like Thru, and then how can I make that transformation of information back and forth for my customers easy for both the customer and for ourselves. Now, one of the big advantages that I'm finding for us using Thru, and especially in our call center areas, as we're interacting with our customers, they have immediate need for interaction, for data that has to be transmitted back and forth, files that have to move back and forth, and that need is immediate. And then a lot of times what happens is when we send them traditionally through email, the files are too long or too large, and then what ends up happening is they get blocked. Somebody else's software says, we're not going to allow that .executable, and it ends up being a problem for us to actually move information back and forth with our customers. ROI is something that comes up a lot in internal conversations and within our company, and whenever we're going to do any kind of a purchase. ROI in some cases can be simply as to how much should I pay for that software or that service. And in my case, the ROI fundamentally comes down to the simplification, if you will, of the infrastructure that I'm actually trying to maintain. So the more that I can offload services to outside vendors that I trust, the better the ROI is fundamentally for me as well as our company, because I can then show the simplicity for being able to provide services that are, in a lot of cases, something that most people take for granted. The other advantage, really from an ROI standpoint, is a lot of the things that are the intangibles that you can't really measure. Again, you can't measure the customer satisfaction on the ease of use. You just know when the customer's unhappy when they can't get the information. So there's a lot of the reverse things that we normally think of when we think of ROI. Obviously, the product itself is cost effective. It's not what I would say extremely expensive. Of course, my sales guy will say, well, we can charge him more now. But fundamentally, it is a reasonably priced product for the services that we get. The key piece for me, ultimately, though, again, is the ability to be able to timestamp the information. That is probably the biggest ROI factor for us, is because, again, I'm reducing my ultimate cost for long-term storage retention. And then honestly, there's the other aspect of it, which is what file did we send 10 years ago is immaterial today. It's really what customer needed last week. So again, the ROI for us is a lot of times is that speed, fast, how quickly we can get to market with the information that we need to get out there, how quick that customer can get back up to speed, and then fundamentally, am I paying a reasonable price for that product? And I believe we are. So the other advantage I see with Thru is that Thru has the capacity to handle the extremely high volumes of data that we would be moving back and forth. They have the infrastructure in place and the response time and uptime that is also we would require of an enterprise level company requirements. We come along on the IT side and say, hey, what are we going to do with all these files? Well, the advantage again of the Thru product, for us has been at least, is there's a termination time on there. We can define how long we want to keep that file. So over a period of time, the file will slowly dissolve, disappear, and I'm not maintaining larger, increasingly larger amounts of storage. Thru enhances our customer satisfaction fundamentally in the simplest way. They're not even thinking about the fact that the data that got sent to them or transmitted to them or was basically made available to them was sent through a third-party vendor. The customer, from their standpoint, all they know is that they wanted the file 5 minutes ago, and when they didn't have to wait or deal with or try to understand some kind of what would be fundamentally security issues that those of us in IT concerned about with transmitting that data. Adapting Thru within Aptean is actually not a problem. My issue is trying to minimize the number of people who want to use it. We use it predominantly in our sales groups that need to transfer data back and forth, with our support groups that want to transfer files back and forth. The ease of use, again, is the common theme that keeps coming up with my end users when they're using the product, on how simple it is to actually transfer files back and forth. And again, the key point being that we're trying to move data from point A to point B. Thru lets us do that quickly. From a security standpoint, also nowadays is very critical, and the issues that most companies are running into is anytime that you're transferring data back and forth, the perception is that I need to validate everything possible about that data that's being moved in my email or whatever the method is that the company is using to transfer data. Thru solution, by using it in the cloud where I'm sending a link and being able to log in to their site to then find the file that I'm looking for, help with a lot of the security concerns that we had. Also, Thru being an enterprise-grade company, the security issues, again, they're obviously going to spend the effort and money on that, and again, it would have been a comfort level for me knowing that it's a secure solution. The product itself just works, and really once the user has gone through the initial setup, there's very little that requires follow-up for resolution, if you will, for calling us customer support. The biggest one is my file's gone, and they're realizing that the time has expired for the duration of the file that we've set for, or they have set for it. So a lot of times it's not that it's necessarily broken, it's that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Using Thru's customer support, product support, you know, everyone has a different word for, hey, it's broken, I need to talk to somebody. And then a lot of times it's really not broken. It's usually a lot of times it's something that's on our end, how we've set it up, you know, the integration, and how we've set up the integration for our email. You know, it was simple if you followed instructions, but not everyone follows instructions the same way. My point of that is that when you are interacting with one of the professionals at the Thru support line, they're not going to second guess or basically talk down to you for something that is necessarily a simple solution. We've never had any outstanding issues that I'm aware of related to any of the products since we've been using it. So I usually equate the support issues as more of how does the user use it and how easy it is for the user to use the product.